All right, hello everybody. I don't know if you caught the tail end of that. We were going over last names there, but welcome everybody to another edition of Darf Talks. I am your host, Darf Mike, and I'm going to slightly reposition my microphone just now because I realized I forgot to do that. But I'm joined here today by Jordan Zellsis Montemurro. He's been playing with Swole Patrol for going on 8 months now or so. He's with teammates Freakazoid, Cooper, Silent, and Lil Man. They were recently competing in Mountain Dew League playoffs over in the UK across the pond, and now he's come to join us in advance of Season 28 of Mountain Dew to talk about his team, about their recent form, their results, and everything going forward. So everyone give a nice hello to Zellsis. How's it going, Zellsis?
Hello, it's going good, man. What's going on?
You know, getting ready for a nice little interview here. We've been chatting a little bit, but I touched on it earlier. You've been together since like October of last year. Is this run with the team?
Yeah, the four of us for like season and a half.
Okay. You played with them occasionally previously, but then you had a stretch with like Denial, right?
Yeah, we played in like qualifiers. The funny thing about that is like we always wanted to make a team, but we just never had like the time was never right. So
okay. So that's a pretty long run, honestly, for a Mountain Dew League team. That's some longevity there. Some legs to the roster. First, I have to ask you a question. You played on Muffin Lightning as well, right?
Correct.
This is a burning question I've had for a very long time. What the hell was the deal with the logo?
I actually don't know. They just that Silent and his friends just had like a whole thing on their own, and then we just made Swole Patrol. We just changed our name to Swole Patrol.
Okay, because it was like Eli Manning with a muffin in front of it and lightning.
Yeah, I don't know what they were doing there.
One day I'll get the full story there. One day. So Swole Patrol, the name, the immediate assumption is or association is generally with Freakazoid, with the tank tops. Freakazoid, was that sort of the impetus? Was there
This is actually Swole Patrol is actually a long time ago thing that I think Freak made. This was when he had played, I think 1.6 or Source, whatever the game was that he played. So it's been around a while actually. But yeah, this was originally his idea.
Okay. So it is a name, it's a storied name, it's got some history to it. You coming into this legacy, this pickup team legacy. What's the like badge you got to carry there with that kind of legacy behind you? Is there like a feeling and emotion attached to joining that squad?
Get bigger, I guess. Get swole.
Get bigger. Motivation for the gym.
Yeah.
The name is Swole Patrol. I guess that is it's pretty good motivation to go to the gym. All right, so getting into the actual game team. I also have one side note to ask about. You played main playoffs with the team. This was season 26, right?
Good.
What happened there? Were you just like ringing for a squad?
Oh, Hunter's team. Third time's a charm.
Yeah, third time's a charm.
So we didn't make that was the first season that I joined a roster with Freak, Cooper, and Silent, and we had no chance of like the roster only had 3 ads, so Silent added me, Cooper, and Freak, and then we just played with a sub for matches. So we obviously didn't make playoffs. So I just played with my friend Hunter, the old teammate of mine. He's like one of my best friends online. So I just played on an alt with him on his roster.
Okay, so you were literally a ringer.
Yeah.
Right. Is there like, I don't know, is that kind of weird to come into a team just for playoffs, like be brought into a roster? I mean, the objective there is third time's a charm, as they said. They made playoffs 3 times. It's like, all right, finally, we're getting over that hump. We're bringing in the ringer. What's that like for you? Is it just sort of doing a favor for a friend, or this is going to be fun, or?
Yeah, it was mostly I wanted Hunter to be. I was just playing with Hunter basically. I wanted him to like succeed, and we didn't make playoffs, so it wasn't like any trouble for me to play with him, and I loved playing with him. So I was actually calling for them too at the time. And so I guess ringing for a team like in a Puggy system is kind of weird, but we showed up. They all played well. I played well. Yeah.
Okay. And ringing is the IGL. That's interesting. I mean, I guess if you're just pugging, that works.
It was just Puggy calls, you know.
Straight go out and shoot. Yeah. So you guys qualified for WESG. You batted your way through the North American qualifier. You made it. You were headed to China. Was that your first international experience?
Indeed, it was.
Okay.
I would say it's the best international experience, but it was international.
Was that your first time? And now I don't know personally. Was that your first time overseas?
Yes.
Okay, so you'd never traveled internationally in any way, shape, or form. Definitely not for a CS.
Nope.
How does that just like completely change your mentality going into an event?
Changes my motivation actually, not my mentality so much, but my motivation for the game and wanting to be better and improve myself to do it more changes it drastically actually.
Was it kind of like almost like an incentive, like holy crap, this is what could be?
Yeah.
Okay.
To have the chance to go overseas playing a video game is pretty exciting in itself.
And so, I mean, going into this, you know that you're going to be up against much different competition. I mean, these are teams from all over the world. The only qualifiers that they all have to be the same nationality. So you've got, random mixed teams from Eastern European country A, and then you've got SK on the other side of the spectrum. And that going into that kind of competition, that chance to compete against the top notch of the scene, does that also change your thinking going into the event?
The teams definitely there were a lot better than the competition we have played or play in our region, but our team has always held ourselves to a high standard, playing whether we play like a low tier team to playing like SK or Cloud9 or something. Like we always think that we can beat whoever we play, no matter what.
Okay. So I remember after the event, you popped up in a chat for something I was either watching or casting at the time. And I asked you a couple questions about it, and it did not seem like you were the biggest fan of China and of that event in general.
So I guess the original hotel that we were supposed to stay at, they didn't like the company, the WSG company didn't like book rooms for everyone or something. So we had like this last minute hotel, and it was like super run down. It had like mold like in the rooms and stuff. And no lie, I shit you not, the hallway boards, it had like wooden boards, like just planks, just like holding the ceiling up. Like it wasn't like anything like serious, like walls holding it up or whatever. It was literally wooden boards. And like the water was just straight cold. Like you couldn't get warm water. We actually were gonna buy a different hotel, but then WSG came in clutch and got everyone new hotels, and it was pretty nice.
I've done some traveling in Southeast Asia. There are definitely some places where it gets a little wonky. Okay, so there's that. I mean, having that kind of a distraction, right? Like going into it, the hotel being crazy, the living situation being crazy. Does that make it tough to just play your game when you're actually competing?
I mean, I guess if it like, for me, when I play or like when I join a server or whatever, everything else that happened outside doesn't matter to me. Like everything, like any excuses or any bad things or whatever that's happening, just it's not in the server. Like, so it shouldn't affect you unless you're like, like you sleep outside or something and you like get a poor night's sleep, then I guess that'll affect you. But I don't know. I don't think a hotel situation anyone should blame on for playing poorly.
That's a great mentality to have. I mean, that is a great mentality to have. Everything else just gets left outside of the server. I mean, even with that kind of a big adjustment where you're switching time zones, switching continents, completely new experience. That's a great mentality to have. You guys didn't have a lot of success at WSG. It did not go super well for you. How do you think about it when you come to this big kind of event and it's just doesn't work out?
So we actually we got dumpstered by AGO in the first game, but we kind of just like forgot about that completely. Like even in the game, we just forgot about it completely because we knew that we had 2 more matches to play to get out of groups. And then we showed up against Gonset and played really well. We were down, I think we were down like 14-8 or 14-7 or 15-7, one of the two. And we brought it all the way back, and then we just couldn't close it out to go OT or just to win the game. And we were out of groups at that point, but it was kind of depressing to go 0-3 because we were 3 rounds away or 2 rounds away from getting out of groups almost. So, and obviously our team has really high standards, but like our mentality going into that was we were going to try and win, obviously, but our team hasn't been together around that long, considering the teams that were there and have been together for a while. So, yeah, it was pretty depressing that we went 0-3, but we showed up well against good teams, so we were happy.
How do you kind of like, I mean, coming back home, how do you sort of shake that off?
So the funny thing is, actually, we changed a lot of our roles in our team periodically. Actually, we went from Freak calling at the start of our team to me calling, and then Cooper now calls, and then Silent opt before, and then we switched Cooper to opping, and then so whenever like we're in a slump, like our team's in a slump or something, we just drastically change our rules, and it somehow seems to always work out. So.
Is that a specific aspect of like the way you guys like having versatile players, having that ability to be able to shift up roles, not have really defined positions? Yeah,
I think having 5 players that can do everything, lurk, support, entry, op, do whatever a team needs, kind of like Liquid. Liquid kind of has that. And I think having 5 players that can do that is very important, actually. Depending on like how you play, like if you play fast, if you play slow, you need 5 players that can do both. And I think 5 players that can do every role is very important as well.
You talked a little bit about how you guys have really high standards for yourself. You know, you go into every match expecting that you're going to win it, that you're going to be able to compete, and that you're going to be able to bring it. Do you think that, I mean, playing with obviously the big name in this roster and this team coming into it was Freakazoid. He's played at the top of the levels. He's made major runs, so on and so forth. Do you think having that kind of experience on the team, Silent as well, having played on quite a few different rosters, does that elevate all of your expectations for yourselves?
In a sense, yeah, I think so. Me and Cooper, when it was just me, Cooper, Freak, and Silent, we all knew, like, we all talked about like our goals in the team and like what like each of us want in the game and how we're going to achieve that and stuff. And Freak played like a huge role in like our motivation and like the goals coming into this team, I think. So, yeah, I think that's a huge reason why we have the mentality we do, but also for our own personal goals as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I think just to add on to that, I think we just all had our own personal goals, and then just having like the names or the people on our team just fueled those goals even more.
So, okay, moving on to Mountain Dew League, to season 27. You're coming into season 27. Like you said, season 26, you hadn't played together very long. It just wasn't quite going to work out. You're using the subs to bring people into the roster. It's sort of a wash. Season 27, you've been playing together. You've played WESG. You've played previously at the end of the last roster. You've got this sort of balance, this experience. You bring in Ryan. The 4 had played together. What was the process with bringing in Ryan?
So we wanted to pick up, our original idea was to pick up a role player because we already had like high fraggers and like high skill ceilinged players. So we wanted to bring in a role player, kind of like a Taco. And we were looking at Guimon actually and Ryan for entries because they were both entries and they were both really good at their role, and they were top players in the season before that, season 26, I think it was, when we first formed. So it was between those two, and we picked up Ryan because of he just fit well better into our team at the time. But they're both good players, obviously. But yeah, he just fit well into our team at the time, so we just picked him up, and then that was it, right? That was the question. Yeah. Ask about the picking up. Yeah.
Just about the pickup.
Yeah.
So you've been playing with this roster for a little while. This chemistry started to develop. You guys have been playing a few months now. You've got some things figured out. Like you said, you've sort of swapped roles, moved them around. Going into this season, are you calling? Or is this...
going into the season, Cooper is still calling. We all kind of give input. It's kind of like the Steel mentality. I don't know if people have watched Steel's video about like everyone giving input, but me and Freak give input, and then Cooper has the final say. So,
okay. And so, all right. So you've got this chemistry. You've got these roles sort of more figured out, team more felt out. You've got your strats are starting to come together. Going into this season, what are you thinking?
This season's we're kind of just
last season.
Oh, last
season. We're in the past right now. Going into that season.
Okay.
I got my tenses screwed up there.
Okay, going into the season we just played I think, yeah, Cooper was calling. I'm pretty sure.
And what was sort of your mentality, your personal mentality? What did you expect out of that season?
I expected to actually win MDO.
Okay.
Like, I had full confidence that we were going to win MDO.
Okay. So full confidence on the roster. You have full faith in that roster going into it. You're feeling it.
Yeah.
Do you think that the stability of having had this team for a while gave you a leg up on a lot of the teams that had sort of either just formed or were figuring out themselves from the remnants of other teams and coming together?
The funny thing about that is a lot of teams or players or people think that just because we had Freakazoid, we should win or whatever. And Freak does play a huge part in our team, and he actually brings in a lot, and he has a lot of fragging power. But I don't think he's like the sole reason we win all our matches or win one before. Our players just all understand the game and want to get better, and will sacrifice anything to do that. Stats, whether it be stats or their roles or anything like that. If it works within the team, all five of us would have done it. And I think on a lot of MDL teams, a lot of players just care about stats, or they just care about themselves rather than their team. But that's one reason why teams fall apart, is because they don't care about other people on their team. They just care about themselves. So I think that's one reason why we succeeded over the others in such a short amount of time.
Okay. I mean, you did have a really dominant run through regular season of MDL. I think you wound up 13-3. So you're headed into playoffs, high seed in playoffs. One thing that was sort of pointed out in a lot of the casting and just sort of anyone who was watching the team is over the course of the season and over the course of your time playing together, you guys shifted play styles a lot. You shifted from being a much puggier team to having some more defined strategies, to playing a slower game, to playing some more tempo plays and that kind of thing. Was that a full choice, like you talked about it and you decided to shift styles, or was it just sort of something that developed over time as more strategies and tactics got implemented?
So now that you bring that up, I actually remember who was so Freak was calling at the start, and it's funny you say we started fast, because we actually started slow. Freak was caller, and so we started, or I don't know, from my perspective, I think we played slow. But so Freak was actually our caller, and he calls really slow, and then we changed to me. I call really fast. And then Cooper is kind of like our middle guy. He calls fast and slow. So we didn't really talk about it. It's just like I said, the shift of callers, like just the way of calling, it just changed our game completely. Like we went from slow to fast to middle grounds, I guess.
Okay. So I mean, we've talked a lot about the IGLing role and the input. You give input, Freak gives input, Cooper makes a final say at this point. But leadership sort of both be in the server and outside of the server, where does that sort of flow from? You said that every player here has defined goals and defined standards for themselves, but if you guys need somebody to rally the troops, if you're feeling down, where does that come from?
That's actually all Freak. Like if we're feeling down and we need like a motivational speech, or like we need, like we're just all depressed or something, Freak's usually the one to come in and say like focus the fuck up, like let's go, like we gotta, this is it, like if you guys want it, this is it. That's basically about it.
Okay, a little bit of like the slap in the face mentality, like wake up, throw a little water on.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's sort of a emotional leadership out of the server or in the server, but that's the Freak role.
Out of the server, he's a huge part. In the server, we're all kind of like, if we're all down and losing, like no matter who it is, one person will come up and say like, we're still in this, like we're still in the game. So I think that's a huge part about having 5 players that just want to win.
Okay. Heading into playoffs, you guys are a high seed coming into playoffs. You went 13-3 through regulation. You said going into the season you expected to just win MDL. Is that still the expectation? You've seen some of the competition take form. You've sort of got a feel for the way other teams play. You've got a feel for a lot of the landscape going into playoffs. What's the thinking here?
So this season, like I said before, we think we can beat anyone. This season, I think, has a lot more like team competition. Like you have Bravado, you have Dignitas. The Pioneers look really good. Guerrilla Gang can be good. Yeah, there's a lot more like, I think like not stacked teams, but last season it was just like us, Torqued, and United. I feel like this season you have like a more wide variety of teams, but yeah, I think this season we're just looking to not like completely have fun with it. Like we want to win, we want to show that we can still beat people and beat everyone in MDL, but our main focus is on lands actually, because this isn't a move up season. So our main focus is going to be on qualifiers, trying to qualify for lands and just prove ourselves that way.
Okay. I still want to take it back in time a little bit, and I want to talk about MDL LAN and playoffs and all of that. You in playoffs, you annihilated Therian. You won a tight series against Torqued. And this is another thing I want to ask about. When I spoke to Dapper, he kind of talked about a triangle sort of forming in Mountain Dew League, where it was like every one person. It's almost like the types in Pokemon, right? Where you had you guys beat Torqued, Torqued beat E United beat you. Was that sort of a thing you guys felt was true as well?
Yeah, that was exactly what was happening.
How does that sort of work? Does that sort of become locked in your mind as a player? Does that kind of work its way in there? Become something of a mental block almost?
Actually, for me personally, I had a huge mental block against United. Statistically and historically or word? Historically. I've always lost against United. Like from the start of like that core roster and the start of like me personally, I've always lost against them. So I had a huge mental block against them actually. I even talked to my team about it because it was like emotionally draining to think about. But I fixed that, and yeah.
How did you go about fixing that? Because I mean, for playoffs, right? You knew for a long time that you were going to play that last match of MDL playoffs against E United. You had the run up. You had what, a month and a half that you knew this was going to be the matchup. So
I think just having in the back of your head that you're at the same place they are, and that every game, actually got this from Freak. CS is round by round. Game is game by game. So every round is round by round. So I just implemented that and really drilled it in my head that I'm here with them and I'm a good player. They're good players, and it's going to be a good game.
Okay. Another thing to talk about with this long run up to this particular match against the United is you guys played each other like 7 or 8 times in BO3s, like full BO3s. I mean, I talked about it with Dapper last week as well, where it just kind of got to be ridiculous. It seemed like every qualifier, every event, every anything, the Dust 2 US Master, random things, you just wind up stacked up against United.
Yeah. We actually thought that we were going to have like some like not karma, but like some like deja vu type stuff where the season before that, SOAR beat them in finals, and they also played over the span of a month, like in qualifiers, in anything really. And United always beat them. So we're like, all right, we're going to be the SOAR. They'll beat us in everything, but then we'll beat them at the finals of MDL. Well, sadly it didn't happen.
So, but talking about that, like when you play somebody playing them, does that change the way you play them? I mean, do you hold things back?
I interrupted you. I'm sorry. I apologize for that.
No, go ahead.
We actually saved a lot of our pistol rounds and a lot of not a lot of strats, but we saved almost all our pistols and we saved some strats. So
the preparation.
Yeah. So, and then we also did our vetoes wrong a lot on purpose so that like we didn't show something or we didn't get them to show something, and we took a risk on maps. It was difficult. They obviously beat us majority of the time. So, but we don't really focus on how many times they beat us. We just focus on what we need to improve on.
But there are some mind games at play there. Like you're trying to throw them off the trail. You're trying to suss out what they want to do as well. I mean, there's sort of that. It's almost like two fighters sort of squaring up before they actually go in for the haymakers. You're probing, you're poking, you're prodding, you're trying to figure out where the gaps are, what you can exploit, and you don't want to give away your own game.
Correct.
So then you're traveling again. This is international travel again. This is number 2, right? You're headed to the UK. It's your second international LAN. This one's a little bit more in the traditional wheelhouse in that it's Mountain Dew League, that it's a natural extension. But again, does that change the hype you have going into it, that you're getting on a plane and you're just popping over a continent?
Personally, it does, because going to WSG, obviously WSG can have like a huge impact on your life if you win it, and the prize pool is obviously huge. But going into MDL land, just like that land alone, and knowing you're going to play for a pro spot and your life could drastically change at any time if you're in pro, it's huge. Yeah. So it's nerve-wracking for, I guess, whatever your personal situation is or whatever you're trying to achieve.
How much of your thinking going into this one LAN was about that one match? That one match against
me personally, everything.
Everything? That was all the focus?
Everything.
So that series, that was an insanely close series. I mean, it was pretty nuts. Like, what is your feeling in that kind of a roller coaster almost?
So we actually thought we were just gonna demolish them completely. Once we won Nuke, Nuke was like the start of it, and then once we won Nuke, we thought we were just gonna 2-0 them easily with no problem. And we go up 10-2 on Inferno, and we just thought the game was like obviously we were still playing, we were still in it trying to win, but like in our heads we just thought like the game was over, like we were just gonna win the game. And then they won 3 rounds in a row. We just gonna close out T side. It was 10-5, and then yeah, they just streaked on T side over Inferno and just came back.
After that, in that second map where they make that huge comeback, they make the immense comeback. Then you're going into map 3, and it's like, how do you get that mental reset, or is it just you does that sort of shatter the mentality going into the third map?
I don't know about my teammates, but me personally, that we lost that map and it didn't matter to me, because if you worry about that map and it's in your head, it's gonna affect how you play or how you think in the third map. So me personally, I just dropped it completely.
Okay. So that third map, it's close. They took the W. I mean, they're celebrating. They made it through. What's your mentality after taking that loss, after a close, hard-fought series, a hard-fought season? The last match didn't quite work out. How do you feel in that moment?
Pretty shitty.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie. Considering we should have won that match, and we actually threw a lot of rounds on overpass as well. We lost, I think, we watched the demo back, and I think we lost 4 or 5 force buys, like just CZs and MP9s or whatever. And the game was 16-13. So that's pretty depressing to know in itself, being that close. And then, yeah, we were demoralized after that, and then we had to play Splice in a BO3, which I don't think that should ever be a thing ever. If anyone from ESCA is watching this, I don't think you should have to play MDL finals and then a relegation BO3 right after that. Because we were just completely out of it after losing that close of a BO3. Yeah, we just got demolished by Splice after that.
Yeah, I mean that you just drained the minds elsewhere, and it's immediately you have to go into playing a team that's just played in Pro League.
Yeah.
So I mean that one you guys kind of got wrecked, but there's still a chance, right? You still have a chance of the relegation. You got the next day. You play up against, that was the next day, right?
Yeah, next day.
Okay, so you
Torqued.
Yeah, you come up against Torqued. You had a great showing. I mean, you guys put the beat down on Torqued. Did that sort of like start to build that mentality back up, that confidence?
I don't know if I can speak for all my teammates, but I'm gonna go out and say I can. We actually just completely forgot about the day before.
Like, how do you do that?
Just having the will to win. You can't let like your losses affect you to the point where it's coming into your next day and it's affecting how you play a new team, a new day. CS is round by round, game by game. So, okay. And we always played well against Torqued. It was kind of like a warm-up match. little trash talk, but you know, it's kind of like a warm-up match. We just, no, but all seriousness, we always played well against Torqued. I don't know. We just have like a different play style, I guess, that worked well against theirs.
So it's like a familiar match. It does help to get that mentality right, get that feeling right. So then you're back in against Splice. Splice demolished you guys yesterday, but you, like you said, you were all out of it. The mentality was out of it. How do you shift your thinking? How do you shift your play, having the experience of playing them previously? Did you guys go over that demo?
We actually did not. I'm kind of repeating myself, but we actually just completely forgot about it. Like we forgot about the vetoes. We forgot about what happened. We forgot about how we played.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing we wanted to remember was how they played and like where they played and their spots, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So this was a much better series. I mean, you guys played a much better series against Splice in this one. Took them to 3 maps. Ultimately, didn't pull it out here. They kept their spot. Didn't make it through relegation, but you did do a much better showing in this time. But what's that feeling after you haven't made it? You haven't gotten that season.
The worst feeling about it was we lost our map pick against them.
Mm-hmm.
Cash Inferno Train. And the reason why we lost our map pick was because we got ecoed. That seemed to be a big problem this LAN for our team, is getting 4-spot a lot on and ecoed and such.
Mm-hmm.
So we were up, I think we ended the T-side half 8-7, and we won pistol at 9-7, and then we got ecoed. So if we won like the 3 rounds after that, it would have been like 11-7, would have been a lot closer game. We might have 2 of them. I don't know. Who knows? But yeah. We were all pretty sad. Not gonna like get more personal than that, but it was pretty depressing, to say the least.
So this is sort of the moment generally when, if a team's going to fall apart, this is where they fall apart, right? You take a big loss, you don't meet the expectation you had for yourself. There's tensions run high, emotions are strong and flowing. But you guys, I mean, the core is stuck together, right? This 4 that's been playing together for a long time by MDL standards. 9 months, I guess, isn't a long time for some things, but it's a long time in the Mountain Dew League. What happens there where you guys, I mean, obviously emotions are running high. Like you said, it's sad, it's depressing. It's not a good moment for any of you, I'm sure. What aspect of the team or of yourselves as players allowed you to move past that and to decide to stick together to keep that going?
So obviously we let go of Ryan with 2 N's, Welsh.
Mm-hmm.
We call him Welsh. We let go of him. We were actually gonna all 5 stay together. Like it wasn't in our heads to cut someone after the LAN. Like we were just gonna grind out, stay together, and keep going. And we just ultimately came to like a conclusion. Our team was like stale and that we needed a change, and it just was Welsh, Ryan. So are forced to stay together. The reasoning behind that is because like us 4 like improve, and we got better over the course of time, and we all wanted to play together continuously and win more, I guess. And we just felt that Welsh wasn't fit for our team anymore. So yeah, I guess that was our mentality.
Was that sort of a decision that the 4 of you came to and then talked to Ryan Welsh about, or was it sort of he was involved in the conversation, and how does that work exactly?
We 4 talked about it, and then after the LAN, like we waited for him to, I guess, improve. I don't know. He's a good player. He's definitely a good player. I love him. He's one of the nicest kids I've ever met in CSGO ever. He's done a lot for me personally, so I have nothing bad to say about him as a person or player. But yeah, we didn't give him like a ton of time to improve, obviously, because we have to get ready for the future of our team. But yeah, that's how it went down, I guess.
So then, obviously, to bring in to sort of shift gears, replacing that hole that's created by removing Ryan, you bring in Lil Man. Now, what's the process there? Was it sort of you reached out to Lil Man? Did you trial him? Was he interested in joining the roster? How does that work exactly?
So we talked to him at WSG, not about like joining our team, obviously, but we talked to him about like, because obviously when you go to a LAN, you talk to new people and you like see what they're about and stuff. And he said that like he didn't know if he wanted to play competitive CS anymore, blah blah blah. And we knew that, but we figured we'd we were going to try people out, so we might as well ask him. So we asked him. He said, yeah, sure, I'd be down to grind CS, get back into it, etc. So we tried him out. We tried, I'm not going to name names because I don't want to get inter team war with MDL teams, but we tried out a few other people. And he just fit like the role he played every role that we wanted him to play, and he played it well. Like he played it exceptional. So so we just instantly kind of picked him up. Like we didn't even try out the rest of our tryouts, to be honest. We tried out like a few people, then we tried him out, and then that was it. We just picked him up.
Kind of like when you know it's right. It's when it's right, you know it's right.
Yeah. When you know it's right, it's right.
Yeah, you hit that feeling. It's just like, oh, the lighting's right, the mood's on, you know.
Oh yeah, personally for me, I had like such a different vibe with like him and like whoever else. Like we would play with someone else, and I'd just be like, this isn't the same. So
yeah.
But when we played with him, I'm like, yeah, let's go. I don't know.
Okay, so now bringing Lil Man in, he's got added experience. Obviously, he's played pro. He's played, that's another experienced player into the roster. How does that change the complexion?
So, experience-wise, he hasn't played like at a high level for like a year, I think he said. I guess you could have counted. I guess if you want to count his time on Subtle, he's played competitively, but that was just kind of like I don't think he took I don't think that was very serious for him. So I guess like a year he hasn't played competitive CS, but he's really smart. I think he's really smart. He brings a lot to our team that we needed as a core.
Okay.
So I think he'll be very promising to us.
So heading into this season, it's another season of MDL. This time move up's not on the table. Does that change your thinking going into the season? Does that change motivation for the squad?
I'd say no, because we still want to show that we can be dominant in the scene. And if we show that we're dominant in the scene, that'll make teams respect us a lot more. Meaning we can either get better pro scrims, or we can like have like a respect level against teams so they don't just like pug against us. I mean, obviously we've shown that we're top team in MDL, so we don't have to account for that. But in qualifiers and such against like other pro teams, it'd be nice to have that respect.
Sort of on every opportunity you prove your worth, prove your mettle.
Yep.
Dominate whenever possible. So we've talked about a lot of things here, but at this point, the Swole Patrol has proven yourselves. You've shown to be a top MDL team. You've shown that you're right on the precipice of Pro League. You're right on the precipice of that tier of competition. I mean, there's definitely the caliber of players that you have can definitely make it there. That's been proven without a doubt. So now going into this season, what's it like in terms of organization? I mean, we talked earlier. You're all playing full time. Offers are presumably trickling in. What's going on there from an organizational standpoint?
So we do have a few offers right now. I can say we should, if everything goes right, we should be signed within 1 to 2 weeks. I'm not going to name any names, but we have a few offers. We're pretty pleased with those offers, and yeah, we are all 5 full time. Obviously, we just want to win and such. So we put a lot into this, and an org helping us financially will actually. I think orgs and MDL are super underrated, but I also think orgs shouldn't invest a lot into a lot of MDL teams, as bad as that sounds. I think bringing in money for the system makes it better for everyone and to improve and play more and such. But a lot of these teams already play a lot, and they just don't show a lot of promise. So I see a lot of teams complaining about like, oh, orgs won't invest in us or won't pick us up. Well, there's a reason for that. You have to show that you will give them back a good investment, or at least give them something to invest for. But yeah, we should be signed within the next few weeks with an org.
Okay, you heard it here first, folks. Signing coming your way. Swole Patrol, soon to be not the Swole Patrol.
Yeah, not the Swole Patrol.
Some other patrol. All right, a little bit of inside info there. So, I mean, what is that process like of looking into orgs? Is it sort of they come to you, reach out to them? Who's doing the suiting here?
So I actually think a lot of this might be off topic from your question, but I actually think a lot of orgs are actually shady in the sense of they won't pay or they offer what they can't pay.
I mean, we've seen that a lot of times in MDL. You were on denial, you know.
Oh
you
yeah,
know.
I actually know it all too well. Yeah, so I think finding an org is actually very hard for an MDL team because even if an org is legit, they might just say, "Oh, well, these guys are just an MDL team. Like, it's not going to matter all that much." But so usually like the usual way to go about looking for an org is tweeting about it or like somebody or such like that. So you just have connections, and they either reach out to you or you can reach out to them. I think you should do both if you're looking for an org. You should not wait for an org to come to you. Whether you care about what you offer or what they offer, you should just always be looking to help yourself, no matter how much the amount of money is.
Okay. So shifting gears a little bit, talking a little bit more, we'll talk a little bit more about some of the theoretical and some of the dynamics with your team. I want to talk about the fact that you're at this point, now that Ryan's no longer on the roster, you're the youngest player on the team, right?
Yeah.
What does that present to you as an opportunity? You're with a lot of players who are more experienced than you, who have been to a lot of these places before, been to a lot of these scenarios before. As a relatively young player, I mean, I guess in MDL terms, not super young since they've got like a bunch of 16-year-olds and all that, but young compared to the rest of your roster. What does that give you as an opportunity?
I don't really look at my age. I don't really look at age as a like an upcoming thing anymore. I don't think it matters about experience because we actually have Cooper, who would technically be like the quote unquote youngest player on our team. He's only been playing for like a year and a half. So I actually consider him like our youngest player.
Okay.
I don't really look at age in terms of things because you could have like a 16-year-old that has like lots of experience, and he's actually should be like, I guess, quote unquote, your oldest player if he has like a lot of experience. I just think it's like age is just all like a number. I think it's all about what experience you have, how you play the game, etc. So for me, I hold myself to a high standard. I actually I don't have like pro experience or anything like Little Man, Freak, and Silent or whatever, but I self-taught myself the game for a while. So I hold myself to a high standard with when it comes to term with understanding the game and experience and such. So, I mean, I am like the youngest in terms of age, and I do still have a lot to learn, but yeah, I guess that's my answer.
Your time in CS speaks for itself.
Yeah, my time in CS speaks for itself.
CS age numbers. All right, that's a new way to think about it. Career longevity. That makes sense. So, a little bit about team chemistry. One of the interesting things about Swole Patrol is that there's a pair of brothers on the team. You got the brothers Abadir. How does that change your chemistry?
So it's actually kind of funny because if like people could hear like our outside comms, sometimes they get like really heated. So it's kind of funny, but they're brothers. So like that stuff's gonna happen. Like they're gonna butt heads more than me and Silent would butt heads or something, and like they just go at it, and it's funny. Like it doesn't like trouble the team at all. If anything, it makes like the team mood like lighter. Like it makes everyone laugh, smile, whatever. So it's a plus to have them. It's like a good image for them to be brothers, and like Freak already playing pro and Cooper coming up. It's a good image to have. I don't know. I like them. I think this team is my family. Like I won't leave this team for another MDL team. Like, yeah, I think pretty sure all four of us will always stay together.
That's a great mentality to have. I mean, that kind of stability, that kind of bond, I guess, that's gotta help in game as well, right?
Oh yeah, you have to trust your teammates to succeed at a high level. I think that's another reason why we succeed is because we all trust each other with everything. Okay.
So does it ever get to a point in comms? I don't know. I'm just thinking about playing with my own brother, or like I love my brother.
Yeah.
But holy shit, if I had to work with my brother every day of my life, we would both go nuts.
Oh, dude, it gets real because like so Freak is actually really hard-headed, but he's very like understanding. So like if they fight about something and Freak thinks he's right, like no one's right. Like no matter what anyone says, no one's right. But then he'll come the next day and he'll be like, oh yeah, I was wrong. So like if they'll like fight about something and Cooper will be like, all right, bro, you're just so hard-headed. And he'll be like, no, I'm not hard-headed. And then he'll come the next day and be like, all right, Cooper, you were right. Or Austin, because Cooper's name is Austin. He's like, all right, Austin, you were right, my bad. So it's just, it's not like a bad thing. It's just like they butt heads, you know, like you said, you have a brother or whatever. If you work with him, you'd go nuts. So it does, I guess, I wouldn't say it affects them because they love each other, you know, they're brothers, families. So, yeah.
Seems like from what you're saying, it strengthens the team.
Yeah, for the most part. Obviously, if everything's perfect, then nothing's perfect. If you think about it from like an outside point of view, if everything's perfect, it's not really perfect.
Can you expand on that a little bit?
Like everything has flaws. Everything has a problem. Nothing like if you think about something that I don't really have like an example, but it's like,
is it more like now that when you recognize your flaws, you recognize the issues in the team, you can sort of deal with them, mitigate them?
Yeah, you deal with them. So if everything's perfect, it's not perfect. Like you're not going to be able to fix anything. You're not going to be able to like, because you can still be perfect and lose. That's just CS. So if everything's perfect, it's not perfect.
Okay. So your flaws make you stronger?
Yeah.
So talking about you individually, the way you, Zellsis, sees the game, thinks about the game, how would you characterize yourself? Do you think you're more of an instinctive player, more of an intellectual player? When you're in the game, are you thinking a lot about your next action, or is it sort of like this is the right moment?
So I think of myself as like I think of myself highly as a player, and I think of myself as like a very versatile player, such as a sense like if this is happening on the other side of the map, I can do this. If this player's here, there's a lot of things that come into play on CS. I don't think that's why a lot of players think about is like if my team's doing something here, this player is going to be at point A, and this other player at the site, if I'm a T, is going to be at point B or whatever. So that allows me to either make this play, or if my team's not doing something, I can make this play. So to answer your question, I guess I'm a very both. Like I can instinctively make a play, or I can strategically make a play.
Okay. One thing I've noted watching you play, you know, watching Swole Patrol games, watching your individual games, I find that in a lot of games, in most games that I find myself watching, there's like 2 or 3 rounds in the game where you'll make a play, and as a caster or as just someone watching in the audience, it's very much a heads up moment where it's like, oh, he's thinking this through. Like you see the angle that you check, or you see the approach you have to a clutch round or to defuse or what you clear, and it very much is a heads up moment. In that moment, when you're clutching, when you're in a 1vx, how are you thinking through things? What's going on in your brain?
So I actually clutch very confidently. I gamble a lot of things that are happening. Like if I don't think I have time to clear this angle, or I don't think I should clear this angle, I don't do it. And if there's a guy there, well, I lose the clutch, basically. So, but if I don't do it and he's where I think he is, or he's where I want him to be, then I'm going to win the clutch. In clutches, I'm very confident and calm. Like I just play very smart.
That almost seems like it's instinctive. Like you sort of like, I feel where these players are right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I'm going to have complete faith in myself in that situation.
Okay. You should always have faith in yourself in clutches, because if you're the person clutching, no one on your team is clutching. So it doesn't matter what they think. It's all about what you think. Obviously, if you have a teammate that says something, and you should think about it. Like if this is just like an example, if Silent tells me that like, oh, this guy's going to be here, like obviously I should think about that. But at the end of the day, it's my choice if I want to clear that or if I don't want to clear that.
Okay. How do you feel that you've developed personally as a player over the last year of play, 9 months, year of play, since your time in Swole Patrol, a little bit beyond that? Like, how have you personally felt your game's changed or matured, or developed?
So before Soul Patrol, I actually, well, like just recently, I've actually had like a real bad attitude problem,
Mm-hmm.
like out of the game and like within my team. And like just on Soul Patrol, I've come to like try and fix that, and I've gotten like a lot better on that personally. So that's like a huge plus in my career, because I think like before uh I was like a upcomer, I guess. Like I was actually young and upcoming. Like I wasn't 20 or whatever the age in CS is that's old or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like the one thing that held me back was my attitude, because I would shit talk like anyone that said anything to me like badly, or my teammates or anything like that. And I think I ruined like a lot of relationships with players and like
Mm-hmm.
maybe opportunities. So on Soul Patrol, Freak actually like put me in check with my attitude, and I think he's like a huge part of my changing like my play style and how I think of the game. Not how I think of the game, but changing my play style and like adding more onto what I think of the game is what I'll say.
Hmm.
So I think I've definitely improved drastically as a player with having Freak on my team. So yeah.
Do you think it just, I mean, as a player, but do you think it's also as a person? I mean, has he sort of served as like a mentor to you?
Yeah. He's definitely given me a lot of motivational um advice. I wouldn't say advice. He's just given me a lot of motivation in my life, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, he's helped me a lot. So I think in game and out, he's definitely like I guess like a father figure to me, or like a mentor, I guess you could say. Yeah.
Okay. And I mean, do you think part of this is also just sort of the natural process of getting older in terms of like attitude issues? You have more experience. You've been through some of these situations before. Do you think that changes things, or do you think it really is like the situation that you've been in has allowed you to grow in this way?
I think every person's different. So I
Mm-hmm.
think if you're like a shit talker at a young age, you'll grow out of it eventually. So I think that's kind of maybe what happened with me. I mean, I still shit talk here and there, but it's only the people that shit talk me. I don't start it usually.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but I definitely hold my tongue more, and I think that's just maybe that's come with age, or maybe that's come with like understanding that I need to mind my tongue coming into like connections in the world and stuff, you know. But I think every person's different when it comes to that.
Okay. In your ideal world, right? If your team was set up just to enable you as Zellsis, like your ideal role, your ideal situation, you as a player, just in a vacuum, right? Nothing else matters but making sure that Zellsis plays the game the absolute best. How would you love to play?
So right now my team actually lets me kind of on CT sides. I don't really get all the spots I want, but I get majority of the spots I want. But
Mm-hmm.
we like change a lot. We changed a lot for like our team before. Like I say, we changed roles drastically. But right now I'm in like a set spot to where I want to be on the map, and my team lets me basically not do whatever I want, but
Mm-hmm.
I can play how to I want. Like uh I don't really know how to explain it, but I'm like a trade fragger. Like I consider myself like a trade fragger. I never run in first, and
Mm-hmm.
my team allows me to do that. They don't like change my role for me. Like they make sure I'm pretty comfortable. So
Okay.
I don't really have anything to change or complain about my team. I'd obviously like to play some different spots, but that's like everybody. Like you have
Yeah.
to sacrifice some spots in a team. Like in a ideal world, obviously you have all your spots, but realistically, you'll never get all your spots.
Okay. That was kind of my next point, was just to ask you about like that sacrifice to build a better team, to build that aspect. So all right. Next season starting up. You guys haven't played a match yet. There's potentially a new org on the horizon. It's an exciting time for you. What are you most looking forward to on the horizon?
Just honestly, this season's not like a move up season, so I would just like to obviously get an org and then just keep grinding and just keep improving and getting better for the next season to go pro. And obviously, just look forward to trying to qualify for lands right now. And yeah, that's about it.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you guys have a really promising. It's been a really fascinating insight into your team, into the dynamics, into you as a player. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Uh, Once again, for anyone watching, this is Zellsis here on Darf Talks. I know I'll be watching your games with excitement, seeing how you guys do this season and then into the next. Hope to see you in Pro League pretty soon. You heard it here first, folks. Swole to Pro League, not this season, but next season.
Hopefully under a different name.
Hopefully under a different name. Swole Patrol may be going away. They're not gonna get less swole, but they won't be out on patrol as much. So once again, thank you so much for joining us, Zellsis. Thank you everyone who's been tuning in. This has been another Darf Talks as presented by Nerd Street Gamers TV. I am your host, Darf Mike. My lovely guest this evening was Zellsis. Thanks so much again. We are going to go ahead and wrap this up now, but once again, thanks for tuning in. Anyone else who would like to check out some more CS content, The Drop Room, which is Nerd Street Gamers TV's new CS talk show with Balti Baby and Topical, will be filming tomorrow. I think they'll be live at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so you can check that out, hear about the latest news. We'll have more content coming your way. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.